here's part 2 of Eric Swallow, Southington High School Athletic Director. Guest appearance on ESPN.
Coach Tony.
Talking this morning with Coach Eric Swallow, the AD from Southington High School. And we were talking about how the use of Facebook and Twitter is affecting the kids and how there are ramifications for the kids. Well,
one of the things that I've addressed with my coaching staff is I do not want them to have any editorial or type comments that can be construed as negative towards another school district and or any content that can be construed in a negative light. So I do feel that you're crossing the line in that respect.
I don't disagree. I mean, if you're gonna express publicly an editorial opinion, as we say in journalism, about a kid on a different team, especially one that you compete with, I think you're just begging for trouble. Now, that in and of itself, I agree with you, was wrong, required some action to be taken. But you want to peel this one back one more layer? Check this out. I learned that Snyder's Facebook comments were only the latest incident in a heated good old-fashioned crosstown soccer rivalry that boiled over into a war of words, online words be that, but online war of words between Island Trees and the Division Avenue school students. This all happened after the schools were pitted up against each other in the Nassau County playoffs. About a month before the list was posted, Island Trees lost 3-0 to who? Division. Go figure. And this was in the quarterfinals of the Nassau Class A playoffs. And again, this resulted in several heated back-and-forth exchanges on Facebook between the players from both sides. And for those of you who hear us talk about online bullying, let me be really clear. When it comes to sport, here's where the Mrs. K Coach Tony's going to call again. Let me just say this for what it's worth. Men are, I'll say it, superior to women when it comes to sports. That's not the point here. When it comes to online bullying, you girls kick our butts, and I mean severely. Girls are vicious, they are heartless, they are ruthless when it comes to emotional bashing, and any married guy listening to the show knows what I'm talking about. But Eric, I got to ask you, at this point, I'm wondering, you got kids on both sides back and forth on Facebook. At this point, I'm wondering if a coach or an administrator should indeed step in.
Yeah,
what do you think?
You got to pay attention to that because it has a tendency, no matter what, to escalate. And I pay attention to that. I try to have ongoing communication with my coaches, and I keep my ear to the ground, make sure that I even dialogue with other athletic directors through the area, through our league, to make sure that we're monitoring those type of things. Again, you can't be the internet police, but at the same time, you've got to pay attention so that if something does come your way, you got to be able to react to it.
Don't disagree. I think at this point somebody should have stepped in. While we're waiting for your calls at 855-HEY-COACH, it's 855-439-2622. I want you to think about this. There's a 2-mile distance between the schools. Couple that with the fact that both teams were conference winners and shared a lot of mutual friends in and around the town. Certainly had to add fuel to this fire. What concerns me, well, at first I heard Coach Snyder stepped in. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, this guy did what he should have done. But here's where it gets a little concerning. Schneider stepped in by talking online to the girls from the opposing team. And so this guy decided, hey, this is not appropriate stuff. So he took it upon himself to engage with teenage girls online, but it was the other team. Now, what's funny is the Island Trees parents think his involvement was perfectly okay. It was done in a fatherly, protective manner. While obviously the division parents feel that it was out of line for him to communicate with their athletes online because they'll just quote the obvious. Teachers should not ever, ever, ever communicate with students in an online manner other than putting a schedule up or something like that.
Practices.
What do you think about the coach engaging the other team's girls?
That's, again, the word is inappropriate.
No. The word is really stupid. You're a school administrator, so you're going to say it right. That's just stupid. Poor judgment. But you're saying it well. I got to give you credit.
But one thing I tell my coaches is that I do not want them friending their student athletes on Facebook. That's just a career limiting move. And I also say that any communication with their student athletes, their team, okay, what time practice is, this is when the bus is leaving, that kind of thing. I get it, but you should CC the athletic director.
Oh, that's
I tell them that you should always CC a third party. And that's a practice that we've started to institute. I get a lot of, I know what's going on with, cheerleading and softball and football when they're eating their pregame meals and whatever, but at least I know what kind of communication is going on out there.
And if nothing else, it creates a digital paper trail for the coach, because someone's going to take something the wrong way. Some kid, and I'm sure you didn't intend it for this.
Absolutely.
But here's the point. Let's assume a coach is squeaky clean and just starts emailing with the kids and does not copy the athletics director. Little Bobby is concerned he's not getting playing time, so he decides to pull a, hey, we got a Sandusky on our hands, and, Coach Fiorino cornered me in the shower. Unless you've got some copy going on and some kind of a paper trail, you're leaving yourself wide open for things that could easily be squashed. And like I said, I think it's a special kind of stupid to engage the kids in any way other than that, much less the kids on the other team. I mean, I just don't get it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you have to constantly be, reminding them. And I can tell you that I think that this has occurred now within the last 3 years. This is blown up. So a lot of coaches, young coaches out there who've come out of college, have grown up with MySpace, have grown up with Facebook, have grown up with instant communication. There's a learning curve, because now they come into a setting where they've gone through their college, they've gotten their degree, they want to get into coaching. Well, they have to understand that, it's a whole different realm, that whole player-coach relationship. And that's something that I work with a lot of my younger coaches on.
And going back to when I played, there were coaches, and we did an entire show on this, there are coaches that are more interested in being the player's buddy, these younger coaches, rather than being their coach. Yeah. Yep. And not only do the kids need that discipline, it's a protective thing that you have to do, for yourself. Now, we have to go to a quick break here, but before I do, I want to just remind everybody, because you said something that is so worth restating. Any email correspondence, and I think it's what goes to the parents, what goes to the coaches. If you're ordering lunch online, I would copy the athletic director on every single email that goes out. Is it a pain in the butt for the AD? Sure. But you know what? Especially here in the state of Connecticut, you guys all have administrative assistants. Let them scrub your email. And I'll go a little further and make a suggestion. If you have an email list for your teams, just add the AD to the list. Don't forget about whether or not you remembered to CC the AD.
And that's what
put them on the list.
Happens, yeah.
Yeah, put them on the list, because you never know when you're going to need to point back to an email. And maybe you deleted it, but the AD didn't, or vice versa. But, man, you guys got to keep... It's sad to say, but yes, as ADs, as coaches, even as parents, you guys got to keep some kind of a paper trail when it comes down to communication between the parents, the coaches, and the kids. Because how many times have we talked about a topic on this show, and it comes down to a he said, she said? And the way the story sounds when it begins is very different than the way it comes out in the end. And sometimes it's the difference between saving an email or not saving an email. Coach said this, the kid Baruto in Florida. I don't want to beat that one to death again, but by the way, Florida tryouts are coming up again. Baruto is the kid who got cut. He claims the coach told him it's because he had no legs. He had prosthetic legs. All it would have taken is one email or one taped phone call or whatever it is, and that's an open and shut case. Never happened, and so it was a debacle. But, we'll see what happens at Dr. Phillips High School when the tryouts come up in a couple of weeks. All right, listen, we'll be back in a bit. We're talking more with Eric Swallow about social network and the impact it has on high school sports. You're listening to Hey Coach Tony. Stick around. I'll be right back.
Coach Tony.
Welcome back to Hey Coach Tony. I'm your host, Tony Fiorino, and I'm joined in studio this week by Eric Swallow, the athletics director from Southington High School. And we're having a terrific discussion here on social networking and the impact it's having on the kids and the coaches. I've been hogging Eric for most of the show. I will get to some of the calls here. In fact, I understand that we've got Rich on line one. So we're going to go to Rich. Hey, Rich, you're on Hey Coach Tony. How you doing this morning?
Hey, good morning. How you doing? Love the show, guys.
Thanks. So what do you got for me?
Nothing. Listen, I'm listening to a lot of the show, and I agree with everything you're saying about social networking. It can be a dangerous thing. I'm just trying to it's so hard to draw the line. What do you guys think are some of the positive things that can come of social networking in sports?
You want to answer that one, Eric?
Especially high school sports, where it's something we really don't have any control over.
I think there is a lot of positive in terms of positive exposure in terms of the level of your program, the success of your program, like identifying a team of the week, that kind of thing. Also from, a recruiting perspective, it gives schools access to information that they might not normally have. So I think that in order to promote your program, promote your student athletes, there could be a real positive to it. but what we've been really discussing is, a lot of the inappropriate use. But there can be some positives, and we're talking about a lot of schools or a lot of programs or teams that I have their own websites, and basically they're able to promote their program. I have a website. I can promote the general athletic program, but you really have to be careful what type of information you're putting on those sites.
So
I was thinking about the whole Facebook thing, and with sports is you don't have any control over what kids are doing out there.
But you know what?
And it's
Rich, hang on a
room
second.
for friendly competition on Facebook between athletes. And emails always seem to get misconstrued because you can never tell the real intent behind an email, and then you could open up a whole can of worms.
You are absolutely right. The real issue with anything that is online, whether it's email, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, me, no one is smart enough to infer emotion or sarcasm or anything from the written word, and that's one of the problems. So there are potentially huge benefits, and I'll make a suggestion, because if you think there is some positives, my initial knee-jerk reaction, or I should say jerk reaction, because I'm a bit of a jerk, when you said what good comes out of social networking, my short answer was going to be nothing. But you know what? Eric brought up some very good points. Here's a suggestion for you. As the coach, because I believe in justice and discipline at the lowest levels first. If I'm a coach and my kids want to tweet or post stuff on Facebook, or we want to have a Facebook page, I have a simple rule. Anything that gets posted to your Twitter account or our Facebook page that is even remotely sports related, I have to see first. And then you eliminate the problems, because you will stop. There will be no more taunting of other teams. There will be no more rubbing it in the face of another team. There'll be no more, you guys suck, we should have beat you, can't wait to see you next week, and building up this emotional threshold. Those things will go away. Is it a horrible, tedious, administrative nightmare for coaches and ADs? Yeah. But if you want to reap the rewards of the social aspect of social media, there comes responsibility with it. Now, I will still hold to this, Rich. Do I think the bad far outweighs the good in the current state of social networking? Absolutely. So if I had to say there was a hard, fast rule, I would just tell my kids, do not tweet and do not post on Facebook regarding sports. And if you do something on your personal site that I don't like, there are still ramifications. But does that answer your question, or do you have something else you want to add to that, Rich?
No, that definitely answers my question. Question for Eric. Are you guys over that whole baseball controversy from the spring yet?
Oh, yeah, missing that home plate. But that was a tough one. But, again, I think we handled that pretty well. My coach, I talked him off the ledge, but he was a class act, and I think we really tried to rise above that. Difficult situation for that student athlete, and again, difficult situation for that umpire. He felt he did what was right, so again, abiding by what the CIAC.
No, I heard that. Yeah, Coach told me the story.
You got to follow the parameters.
Coach told me the story during the break. What happened was Southington was it the state championship game?
It was a state Class double-L state championship.
Championship game. Kid comes up, one of your kids who got drafted by the Reds, I believe, hits a shot down the line, basically the winning run scores, walk-off fashion.
We're the home team.
The kid apparently missed home plate by like a fraction of an inch, and some will still say based on photos that he touched it. The point is, on a walk-off, the umpire banged the kid out, and they lost the state championship in extra innings because of that play.
To like 3 or 4.
So if you're an umpire and you're listening, and if our buddy umpire Steve Coles from last week is listening, if you're ever questioning whether you ever bang someone out for missing home plate on a walk-off, you just don't. End of story. You want to call me? 85-hey coach, and I'll shred you some more. Rich, I'm glad you like the show. Thanks for the call, buddy.
No problem. And you guys can, maybe you can talk about too. Was there any social networking ramifications after that play? Because I'm sure.
Yes, there was.
You tell the story.
Yes, there was. And I had several conversations with the Newington administration relevant to what was happening.
So now you got to tell us. I mean, we got some time left. What happened? The Newington kids were rubbing it in?
Yeah, it was. That's exactly what happened, and it was really unfortunate because if you think about it, a 17-year-old kid, being in that kind of position and then having to be, it's like the same thing that happened in the San Francisco 49er game. The guy receiving death threats relevant to dropping the ball.
Yeah, but he deserved those. High school kid.
If you're a Patriot fan,
a high school kid.
But in that context, again, you can't control it, but you got to at least make the other school aware of what's going on out there. But yeah, it was unfortunate. But I think I believe strongly in what we're trying to do where I am in Southington, and we rose above it.
By the way, if for our friends listening in Newington, if you are listening, if you took any pride in a win that resulted from some horse garbage call at home plate for a kid missing the plate, if you even take pride in that win, I was going to say go kill yourself, but then the whole New Canaan thing comes back. The point is, you can't even take pride in that win, much less take an arrogant track and egg on the kids that you beat because of some garbage call at the plate. Don't take any pride in that. And by the way, Southington, to quote Will Ferrell, you stay classy, Southington, because it seems like the kids did the right thing there, and I do appreciate that.
We tried.
All right. Well, by the way, we started talking about this whole island trees thing. Let me ask you one thing. If it's wrong for a coach to step in, and we're going to wrap up on this point. If you have a call, try to get it in. But if it's wrong for a coach to step in, should it then be the parent's responsibility to put an end to it? Or should trash talking online just be something that we chalk up to kids being kids?
I got to tell you, I do not want a coach, and I've had situations where parents have tried to confront student athletes. That's inappropriate. You need to really work within the parameters of your administration. You have contact with other schools. You have contact with other athletic directors. It's a tight-knit community. We meet monthly as within the framework of our league, the CCC. You have 32 schools in that league, and we meet and we discuss and we talk about things that might be happening with their program and our program. So I really believe strongly that it's not the coach's place, nor is it the parent's place. They need to focus and work with the school, because if you don't, it just escalates and becomes even a bigger problem.
I agree, because you're taking the same track as coach addressing other kids. When I say it, whenever I look at something from a parent perspective, I look at it in a very insular fashion first. What I'm saying is, if my kid is involved in some of this online back and forth, what I'm saying is, as dad, take my Coach Tony hat off, as a dad, don't you feel you have some, my kids they get upset when I talk about something I see them post on Facebook or something on their phone, and they say, "Dad, that's my stuff." No, it's not. Yeah. It is not. And so what I'm saying is, if no one else is doing anything, where the Island Trees and the Division Avenue parents failed was not just policing your own kid. Because if my son's involved and no one else is doing it, I'm going to say, TJ, Sophia, Nikki, whoever the hell you are, that's going to stop right now. And I don't care what somebody else says. I personally, and I said this on the show, I was the biggest jerk to ever play youth sports and scholastic sports and collegiate sports. I was the jerk. I was the guy you hated to play against, but you liked me on your team. The point is, I would get strongly motivated when other people would start to rag me, when people would try to put me down or make fun of my nose or something like that. It fired me up to play better. So I try to teach my kids, when you're nervous, laugh. When you're angry, play better. And there's your outlet, because the outlet of hiding behind a keyboard and typing stuff about how someone's mom works a street corner, that's not going to get anything. You're not going to feel any better. You may chuckle a little bit, but that's when something's going to happen. Like in baseball, that's when you're going to get a pitch stuck in your ear. When in football, that's when you're going to get chop blocked by somebody. In girls volleyball, you're going to get shredded for what clothes you wore to school last week. Wow, that sounded really, really sexist, didn't it? The point is, there's a responsibility, and there's a responsibility chain of command. Guys like you, who are the ADs, you guys have the ultimate say-so in what happens, how it happens, why it happens, when it happens. But I think, as parents, we can't lose sight of the fact that ultimately, you have it in an upward chain of command, but where the rubber meets the road is how mom and dad handle their relationship with their young athlete as a kid, as a student, and as an athlete.
It's called good parenting, and that's where it should start. I can tell you, I have 4 children, and they're all more computer savvy, internet savvy, Facebook savvy than I will ever be or ever want to be. But I have to pay attention to what goes on, even within my own home. And if I'm not doing that, I'm not doing my job as a parent.
Well, I want to thank Eric Swallow for joining us on the show this week. You were terrific. You are welcome back anytime.
Thank you, Tony.
Guys, remember, every Saturday, 9 a.m., you're listening to Hey Coach Tony. I appreciate your time and the phone calls and the emails. Keep them coming. We'll see you guys next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You've been listening to a SouthingtonSports.com special feature. Eric Swallow, Southington High School Athletic Director on ESPN Radio.